Now let's take a look at the sequence of creating impact with your skills. And this has just really been top of mind for me in the past week because it's like, all right, found the starving audience, but even within that, who to serve first and when. And I think that's something we can all connect to in our own way, is having this big vision, having this big mission, having this big heart to serve and solve these problems that we see in the world. And it's like, oh my God, it can get overwhelming really quickly, at least for me. Or I'll be like, I want to help everybody. And it's just like, it just doesn't work that way to roll out a business and a service or grow a career. So one of the things that's been really on my mind is, and I was actually just chatting with Roy last night about it, was so True Freedom, focusing on our starving audience, is it helps teams work in flow state so they can be happier, healthier, more effective, guiding them to work in their zone of genius so they can create maximum value in less time. All right, so that's been like the core message that's been resonating with people, resonating with teams. And what I've been finding is that if a person has a team, they're resonating with that. But then there's the question of like, there's a lot of different types of teams in the world. So for me, the lesson has really been this past week of the sequence of rolling things out with our gifts. Because for example, it's like, all right, teams, does that mean corporate teams? Or does it mean small business teams? Similar teams, but of course, very big difference. And Roy and I've had conversations, just the experiences, of corporate, and it's almost like there's universal problems in all teams for sure. Yet the languaging is different. I know that for me, like I have never spent a day in corporate, so there's the people that I talk to, like my girlfriend Roxy or family members, of course it's a different language. So really this idea of grace and ease, delivering our gifts, making the biggest impact, it's like, okay, if we have to go through hurdles to speak the same language, it's already creating friction. And maybe later on we can figure out ways to do that, but like, all right, what's right in front of us? So then it's like, all right, well, maybe for right now, like we'll get to everybody. I want to get to everybody, but like for right now, maybe it's just the small business teams. It's like, okay, that's a lot. That even is a lot more focused. But then it's like, as I was talking through different mastermind members, friends, advisors, it's like, all right, well, there's a lot of different types of small businesses. Are we talking about the construction company, or are we talking about the brick and mortar, the pizza company, or is it an online company? It's like all these things have different nuances and variations. So I was like, oh, well, agencies, like that's what it really brought to me, because that's my experience of going 100 hours a week to 1 hour a week. That was in an agency business. And I have that like in my slides. So when a friend shared this with me, I was like, oh, that makes sense, I guess, because that's my direct experience. And so we thought of like, okay, it could be marketing agencies of like YouTube ads agency, like SEO agency like mine, or we did website design, or social media agency, podcast agency. Like I was actually pretty amazed, like all the different types of agencies, and I was like, whoa. And then I started looking around, and I was like, a lot of people I know have these type of agencies. So I had a list of like almost 25 people like I know personally that have one of those types of agencies. And then even further from there, a friend of mine, Tim Wolf, is like, okay, it could be agencies with remote teams. And that's with, that's my direct experience with remote teams. And there's a slight difference. If people are coming to the office, it's slightly different pain points, slightly different nuances than a remote team, where say the leader or the team members like, hey, we got to communicate without ever seeing each other face to face and build trust and rapport and momentum. So I share this because this is what I'm going through, like exactly in the call before this. There's a piece on this as well. And the reason why I share this for all of us is I feel like this is the core focus here is always passion, purpose, and prosperity. So passion, doing what we love. Purpose, doing the calling that we feel in our chest. And then prosperity, having the money flow to support us, our loved ones, our family, so that we can create a bigger impact. And that theme that we've touched on before, one of the cards from Yannick Silver that I've brought up before is, we can't pour from an empty cup. Can't pour from an empty cup. So, like, we want to help the world and we'll get there, but like, what's the sequence that we get there? Because when we, as I've found with, like, for me, when I have a sequence, like, anxiety starts going down. Because otherwise it's like, oh, we got to do this all at the same time, and like urgency and like impatience is one of those things that I joke around with. It's like impatience is like my greatest gift and my greatest weakness at the same time. Or maybe urgency. Like impatience in the good form is like urgency, like, all right, let's do this. But in the bad form of impatience, it's not giving things time, or having the anxiety, having the stress, having the pressure that doesn't need to be there. So if you've ever felt, if that resonates with you, let me know of, like, the impatience or the urgency, or maybe you're one of the naturally patient people. Maybe you're on the other side of the spectrum. That's what helps with my girlfriend Roxy. Like, she's definitely on the patient side, and I'm definitely on the urgency side. So it helps balance a bit for both of us. And so with your journey this week, with your career, your value, your business, your team, that's what I invite you to take a look at. Is, okay, last week is like your starving audience. Who's hungriest for your skill that you have, that you're delivering? And even within that audience, maybe there's a subgroup even within that. And maybe you can grow, and then that'll allow you to focus on them first, speak their language, have the space. And also, I feel like, give ourselves permission to not have to, speak to everybody all at the same time. Say corporate, small business, like we'll get to them, but we don't need to do everything at all times to that. So I think since it's us three today, we can do a little bit of a share um, through voice. So if anybody wants to share of how that resonated with you, and like what's standing out to you as an actionable insight, or just what insights are coming up for you, feel free to join on in.
I'll jump in. I love what you're sharing here. Just being able to visualize this, it brings to mind the concept of a Holland that we can kind of use to show that any single part of, like, for instance, agency is it's a part, but it's also a whole, and we can focus on at any levels of that, and that gives me just a new way of thinking. I'm just using this model, so I really love this, and being able to just think about who I'm serving and being able to chunk it down into the different pieces and be able to have a message that speaks directly to, as you said, the starving audience.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. Like, yeah, so a hologram, like, where one piece is a reflection of the whole. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing for me too is, like, I'm realizing that the product is the same. Like the software is the same for all of them, and it provides value. It's just the thing that helps simplify is the messaging, because it's like, if we think about it, if we really wanted to speak the language to them directly, every nuance, almost have to have a website page for corporate teams, website for, say, construction, real estate, all these different teams, agencies, remote teams, and it's like, whoa, already we're getting so many pages, and that's assuming that each one's perfect. God forbid we have to edit one, and then like roll out the change throughout all of them. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Is like what you shared, the hologram, the value can be the same throughout, yet messaging wise, this makes our life a lot more easier and allows the people on the other side to hear the language that resonates with them.
Right. Am I still on? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, and so it's a Holland. So if we think about the smallest unit of something, like we have the atom is the smallest, and we have a molecule, then a cell, then an organ, then a system, then an individual teams of teams, organization, then like the enterprise. So it's looking at a Holland in that perspective, where each element is a part, but it's also a whole within this self-reliant unit. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a new word for me. Holland, you said?
Yeah, HOLONS. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like holacracy, that like management style.
Mm,
Is that kind of related, or are they two separate, different things?
um, maybe separate. I haven't heard of that management style, but could be related.
Cool, Holland. Nice. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jolene, curious, what comes to mind for you? Like the sequence of delivering your gifts, your value.
Um, I just think about the team that I'm currently working with and working in, and how key communication is
Mhm. Yeah.
to make anything happen. Like when we're communicating well, then we're working well together. And when the communication breaks down, then everything else has the possibility of falling apart.
Yeah.
Everyone gets focused on their own thing, but if we're not all talking about what we're doing, can break down quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in the call before this, I was speaking with a friend, advisor, and that's one of the things that came up is like, yeah, the wasted time and wasted communication, or just like the breakdown, the wasted time that happens because breakdowns in communication. Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like if the team, if we're not on the same page, then it's like maybe certain company or certain team members think that the objective is to like speak to corporate teams. I'm just using like a simplified example. Others are like, oh no, we're speaking to small business teams, and that's where my passion, my heart is. Others are like, no, we're talking to agencies, remote teams, and pretty soon, like, whew, a little hour adds up here. Maybe it's a meeting that didn't need to happen. Hour adds up here, hour adds up there, hour adds up there, and then the frustration as well of like not being heard and seen or on the same page adds up. Yeah. So for today, let's do a subconscious clearing on this of the things that obstruct the vision. Because I feel like it's almost like if we're clear, like just like this too, if we're able to clear, then we see what the path is, and then we're able to communicate that with those around us, and then that solves so much of the breakdown of communication as it is. So I think one thing for this too is like any resistance on simplifying with this focus, because me, it's just like I know there's a part of me that just it's like a tug and pull. Like even though I know this is the focus, but another part of my mind's like, well, but what about the corporate team that needs help now? And what about this? What about this? Like, and it's like it's not efficient. It's not efficient. So if there's any resistance that we have on that, because it's almost like I get this visual of if we're split like this, then maybe we can help them the best we can, but it's just like a slow path forward. But almost there's this visual of like if we just stay in our lane, it's like really progress. And then we can circle back around and build that up too. And that's like way faster than before. And to hit this home, I'm going to give a shout out to Stephanie Frank. We were just talking before this, and she said she had this very clear experience in one of her businesses in the past where they and she shared this like in her book and stuff, and she has uh, where they went from like 300,000 a year to 10 million a year in like I think 3 years, and it was right after they focused in like this, and they had good options on either side and certain things that her certain experience like lend itself, but they chose to, all right, what is that specific focus? And then it exploded because all of a sudden their communication is there, their team is there, the people that they attract are like, all right, this is the thing. I can self-select. I either resonate with it or I don't. The ideas were flowing. So just a real world example too that for me was like helpful to hear like all these validations, because I'm like, okay, the part of me that doesn't want to be focused and wants to still in some way be addicted to uh, anxiety, really, if we call it what it is, like some level of addiction of anxiety. It's like, all right, let's just quiet that down
Yeah.
and focus here.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Can you restate, and you've shared this in the past, but it's kind of the concept about, I don't remember exactly, so I'm interested to hear it again. But it's like, is it one thing, one focus? How does that paradigm you share with me go?
Right. So last week we talked about this book that I was re-going through, $100 million offers, and that's one of the philosophies that Alex Hormozy really just believes in, is one product, one channel, 1 million. One product, one channel, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or in-person events, one channel, 1 million. And it's pretty emphatic that don't do anything else until you hit the million. Then you can think about either a second product, or you can think about the same product in just a second channel, maybe YouTube plus Instagram. So that's his whole thing, is like one product, one channel, 1 million. Once you hit that, then you can launch your second, or you can launch your second channel, and then that's the track from 1 million to 10 million. So I think about this too, of like, oh man, just yeah. Does that help? Does that clarify?
It does. It does. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go into the subconscious clearing here. So I would just start bringing awareness to any resistance that might come up for us being so focused and clear, and any resistance that comes up to having our value and the impact that we want to make in a sequence, which is funny to me when I think about it for myself, because that part of myself, it's almost like wants to build the house by laying all the bricks, doing all the walls, doing all the painting at all time. But it's like I tell myself like that, we got to first build the bricks of the foundation, then we got to do the next piece, and then we got to bring in everything. So like, I'm just laughing at myself there. So yeah, any resistance that comes up, let's go ahead and we'll bring that to the clearing. I'll go ahead and pause the recording.